Hi, my name is Marcy. Welcome to my channel, Amnicon Studio. If you are a new watcher, welcome. And if you are a returning friend, welcome back. It's been a while. Yeah, last time I recorded, by the time you see this video, it will probably have been a month, which was once again unintended, not intended. I meant to record in 2 weeks afterwards. But I just didn't have much going on in terms of the knitting and the cross stitching. I didn't feel like I was working on enough stuff that warranted a video. And then last week I intended to record. The week got away from me in some ways. It just didn't go the way I expected. I had a doctor's appointment on Tuesday and he said, "Hey, you've got an infection going on." And I thought, that explains it. That explains why I have not felt very motivated at all for the last, going on a month. And so with the help of modern pharmaceuticals in terms of antibiotics, all of a sudden I feel so much better and I have cranked out a few things. I shared a little bit over on my social media, over on Instagram. I'm not sure what else to share there. That's the tough thing about recording these videos. I can't really plan what I want to say in advance, and I can only write so many notes. And even with notes, I often forget half the stuff that I want to say. For those who don't know a little about me, I'm in northern Wisconsin, born and raised. I'm about 30 miles from Lake Superior. Last Monday we had snow when I woke up on Easter Monday. This morning I woke up to rain and it switched over to snow and switched back to rain, and now we have sunshine, so I'm hoping the back's not blowing out too badly. Yesterday I wanted to record. Mother Nature decided we needed a thunderstorm. I'm trying the microphone again. I know a few of you said that the sound was okay. There was a couple things that I thought maybe the levels were a little too high, and I don't know how to fix that in iMovie or if it's possible. So I'm just trying to be mindful of it and crossing my fingers that the sound is okay for this whole video. What else do I want to share? Well, since now the snow is officially gone, the sun's come out, the temperatures are increasing. I spent some time out in the greenhouse this past weekend, and up potted my tomatoes and the few peppers that came up this past seed starting season. I thought that I might have accidentally killed some of my pepper plants through neglect, but the seeds just never sprouted, and that's what happens sometimes when you use older seeds. I guess I don't want to say too much about the gardening because I'm still trying to pull together a video, a garden blog for that. And besides, this video isn't about my gardening or outdoor adventures. It's about my cross stitch and my knitting and my other crafting. So can you tell that I feel a little nervous? It's been a while. Okay, looking at my notes, I've got a work in progress. When I wrote the notes, I had more than one work in progress, but I finished almost everything I had. So now I have just one. I've got some FOs, some finished objects, some things I started and completed, and then I want to ask your guys' opinion about a new start that I want to start. So, okay, current work in progress is one is cross stitch. It is something you've seen before. It is my one stitch at a time that I am doing as a stitch along in the Across the Sea Facebook group. I can never remember that one. And I think I say that every time. Okay, One Stitch at a Time by Lottie Da Stitches. I started it on January 10th. I'm using the called for DMC colors. The fabric is Charles Craft DMC linen in 28 count tea-dyed. These are the flosses. And you know, I take that back about using the DMC conversion because there's one color that it called for that I decided to switch. And that was the color for the house because I've never lived in a blue house. I currently live in a red house, although I think the color is actually called brick. So a couple weeks ago when I was up at Hobby Lobby, I found a color that I thought would suit for the house, and it's this one. It is DMC 3777. 3777, yeah. And wow, it kind of matches my chair. I haven't touched this for a while, so I don't remember how much I put in since the last time. It might have been the bottom portion here. Oh, I always forget about the back. Let me try this. That kind of works. Okay. I've got a reflection going on here too. So I am working on the left side first because that fits in the Q-snap very nicely, so I don't have to move it around. And I think since the last time I've visited with you guys, I hadn't worked this yet. I think I was still working on the bird, which I need to finish. Did the flowers. This little dot here is supposed to indicate the foundation for the house. I felt like I was ahead of it, ahead of the schedule, so to speak. The original schedule that Sarah, who helps run the group, well, actually, I don't know if she's an admin, but she's hosting the stitch along in the group. She broke it up into 10 parts, and I decided I was just going to work on this half. I think even if I finish the house, I think I'll still be ahead of where I want to be in order to finish this by the end of the year, if that makes any sense. But I wasn't sure about the colors down here at first, but now that I see them again, I like them. So that one, I worked on it pretty steady for I think one week. I have my book of days. I could look at my book of days. Let's see, March. Okay, let's see, I worked, yeah, pretty dedicated the 13th through the 19th. And I was keeping track of the stitch count for a while, and then I'm using I imported the paper chart into Pattern Keeper, and I guess, I don't know if this has anything to do with the update that just happened, but I would do all the stitches, mark all the stitches off, and then the next night when I opened it back up, all those stitches were no longer marked. So I kind of gave up on that, but it's still working for what I need it for this chart. And for some reason, it's only this chart that it's acting goofy like that. So that is my only project, and I haven't touched it for a little bit. Oh, what's next? I have some FOs. Cross stitch first or knitting? The knitting's more fun, so maybe I'll show those first. For whatever reason, when I finished the working on one stitch at a time and I finished the other cross stitch that I was working on, because I think there was only other one I was dedicating time to, I didn't feel like cross stitching, so I picked up my needles and some yarn and decided that I needed to make an emotional support chicken. And I started it April 19th, and I finished it, let's see, it was Saturday, April 19th. I finished it Monday, April 21st. So now I know if I dedicate time, I can finish an emotional support chicken in about 3 days. And this is it. Let's see, slowly spinner. The yarn is, I love this yarn from Hobby Lobby in the cinnamon cedar colorway. And I think she's just so cute. I was kind of wondering how the yarn would show up in a chicken like this, because it's a variegated multicolor colorway, and I think it turned out great. So she will go to somebody as soon as I can find a box that she will fit in. That was my first one, and she's so cute. So then I finished her, and then a couple days later I decided on Thursday, April 24th, you know what? I need to make another emotional support chicken. I had everything out all ready to go. I thought, you know what, I'll go get a yarn out of stash and I will make another one. And this one I finished last night. Let's see, so the 24th. This one took a little bit longer, I see, but the weather was nice this weekend, so I was taking advantage of that because I was feeling good. The weather was nice. I wasn't going to spend a lot of time in the house if I didn't have to. So this one I made with Lion Brand Mandala ombre yarn in the Zen colorway. I still have probably half a ball of yarn left. I might have enough to make another chicken, I'm not sure. And here she is. This one I decided to do a little differently. Both of them were knit with US size 5 needles, which right now I am blanking on the size. That might be 3.5 millimeters. Don't quote me. I did this one a little differently. The pattern says to make the tail first and then the body, and then to make the beak and the wattle and the comb, and then attach them, and then to make this part right here, make it and then attach it. And by the time from past experience, by the time I'm done with the head and I've got the beak on, I feel like the chicken should be done, that I should just be able to seam it up and call it good. And then find out that you've got to knit this part here. I knit in advance the comb and the wattle and this part, so when I finished, I was able to just put it together, and it went really fast this time around. So I know I will be making more emotional support chickens in the future. I just love them so much. So I will do that next go around. I'll make this part first either before I start the tail or after I make the tail. Yeah, and I like how the yarn came out a little dark right here. I was hoping it would at the very least be dark for this part, so just to add a little bit of interest to it. Yeah. And no matter how much I try, I can't get the eyes to quite line up, but I think it adds to the charm of them. Somebody had asked me, what do you do with an emotional support chicken? She didn't get it. And I was like, well, you hug it. I mean, how can you not? It's like a perfectly appropriate plushie or stuffed animal for an adult. Yet you can't help but love them. So this one will be a gift too, because really I only need Furby Jr. and her boyfriend, who I look over now and I see he's laying on the ground. She must have got sick of him. So that's been all the knitting that I have done this past month. Next, the cross stitch finish objects. This one I'm doing as a stitch along with Kenzie over at Mudpuppy Stitchery. It is Bedelia Bunny by the Artsy Housewife. See, this is what Bedelia looks like. Now, we both decided to stitch these bunnies because Kenzie had a bun that passed away. My bun, Pfeffer, is still alive. He's a little gray mini Rex. We just thought it'd be a fun project to do to kind of memorialize our rabbits when down the to remember them. I use the DMC colors. I did switch DMC 3 to match the fur of my Pfeffer, and then Classic Colorworks Blackwood for the eye. I started this on March 1st, and I finished it on April 12th, which Kenzie doesn't know about this yet, because I kind of wanted to keep it on the down low and have it be a surprise. She just finished the bunny part of it and is working on the flowers. Here we go. All done. I knit this I'm still in knitting mode. I stitched this on 20 count Hobby Lobby Lugana in the ivory colorway. My plan is to finish this into a pillow. Officially, let's see, the model has fringe on it, the little dot fringe. I'm still debating on if I want to give that a try or not, to try to put fringe on it like that. I haven't done that with a pillow yet. I am not sure. I figure it's got to be easier to sew that on than it is to try to glue it on to a box like I did with the little porcupine cross stitch that I put on a trinket box. So for now, this is kind of in holding until I just decide if I want to attempt that or not. Plus, I still need to find fabric for the back. So yeah, I'm so pleased with it. And if I remember, I'll put a picture of Pfeffer up so you guys can see him. Because he's an old man for a bun. He's 7. He might be almost 8 now. He's still got some spring in his step, but for the most part, he just sits there and looks owly at you. All right, that. And then I got the most recent issue of Just Cross Stitch. And I flipped through it, and I saw a chart that I thought would make a great gift for somebody that I know. If I was a good podcaster, I would have marked this already. And then trying to look through. I need reader glasses, so the text is kind of blurry. Which, I have them right here. Alright, I saw this chart and I thought that looks really interesting and actually probably really perfect for the person that I'm intending to give it to, and I hope she likes it. But like there is meaning behind it. You know, I feel like I'm always telling her, I'm breathing, I'm doing the breathing. So this is Breathe by Barbie. I'm just going to put the glasses on. Breathe by Barbie Lau of Twisted Willow Designs. Skill level beginner. Stitch count is 36 high, 95 wide. Design size 2 5/8 by 6 3/4. Only calls for DMC, 1 skein, 310 black, 28 count linen from Witchelt. I used some 14 count Ada I had in stash. And I haven't cut it out of the fabric yet, so it's still on a huge piece. There it is. I started this on April 22nd, Tuesday, April 22nd, and then I finished it on April 23rd. It was so fast. The first night, I did the flowers and the words. And then the second night, I don't even think it took me an hour to do this part. Very fast. And then I was debating on how to finish it. I thought maybe I'd try to do it in a pillow. But then there's the whole, like, which fabric, and then in my mind's eye, if she wants to display it, how would she display it? I probably put way too much thought into this. And then the model is on this thing that I guess comes from Hobby Lobby. What do they call it? A wood pile fun rotating wood sign. Where I live, everything is like 45 minutes to an hour away. So it's not like I can just run over to Michael's or Hobby Lobby. And there was a Joann's, you know, Joann's is no longer, not that, okay, side adventure here. Everybody that I have seen online talk about Joann's is really sad they're going, and I don't get it because compared to what I'm hearing, the Joann's that was in my area was not a very good one. People talk about the great DMC selection that's at Joann's and the yarn selection. Mine did not have that. Probably maybe a third of the DMC. Cost was higher. I never saw any sales for the DMC. The yarn I thought was crazy expensive for what it was, like $3 and up for a skein of dishcloth cotton. Maybe those are normal prices elsewhere, but I am used to cheaper dishcloth cotton. So I'm sorry for those who are sad that Joann's is gone, but I was never much of a shopper there. I could probably count on one hand how many things that I got from there. I mean, I got some fabric for making bags up there, but the rest of the stuff, I mean, I'm not going to miss it. So I'm sorry, not sorry. But so everything that I could go to the stores and get, it's like an hour away. So it's like a special trip. Like even if I drive to town, which is 35 to 40 minutes, depending on where I need to go, it's an additional 15 to 20 minutes because I'm actually going through one town into a town, crossing the state line over into Minnesota to get to all the stores. And it is like a whole thing with me about why all the stores are where they are versus where there are no stores in the local big town that I'm by. All we have is Walmart there and Menards. Which if you don't have a Menards, I feel sorry for you because Menards is great. But that's for a whole other thing. Where was I? Oh, so I decided that I was going to frame it. And then, okay, well, again, that's still another special trip if I want to frame it. So I went online to Amazon and I found a frame that I think will work very nicely with it. And it said, will be delivered on Saturday. Great, perfect. I will have enough time to get it, to do what I need to do, and maybe give it to the recipient this week because I'm not sure if I'll see that person again. And then Amazon, I don't know. I don't expect 2-day shipping from Amazon. Being where I live, if we get 2-day shipping, that is fantastic. But more often than not, it doesn't happen. So people talk about people getting spoiled by the 2-day shipping and expect it all the time. No, that's not the case with me. And then the few times where something shows up the next day, that is just like astounding to me because that is like never happens. And we don't have Sunday delivery. So anyways, it was supposed to be here Saturday. It wasn't. I looked on Monday, checked my email, and they said, there has been a delay. We'll update you with the new delivery date. And I thought, what? There might have been some words said. My husband might have gotten an earful. And I checked the tracking number and it said it was over in the hub closest to us. And I said, what are they talking about? The chances of it being broken are highly unlikely. And then it delivered yesterday. So yeah, so I ordered a 4x8 frame. Nothing fancy, just a plain black frame. But this is how it'll look, fingers crossed, when I'm done with it. And I think that will be very nice and a nice little gift. So that, I think, is it. Looking at my notes here. yeah, that is it. Wow. Shoot. I might have lost something that I marked in here. Okay. Yep, and I did. All right. Well, things that I want to start. And now that I'm feeling better, knock on wood that I stay feeling better for a while and have the energy. I realized this past weekend that I really need to get a pair of vanilla socks going again for when we're driving here and there. And I'm the passenger princess. I really need to have something to do with my hands because it's weird to just sit there and not do anything. And so I still have to go out and look through stash and pick out the next colorway to go. I was watching Sarah's Stitchy Spot. I think it was last week before. I'm a little bit behind on some podcasts. So I know it was 2 episodes ago that she showed this biscornu that she's going to make by Teresa Coget. And I think she said it was her first one. And I said, I want to make a biscornu too. It's something that I've been thinking about for a while. And now I've decided that I really should just, get it started and get it going. I flipped through the Just Cross Stitch, the most recent one, and I saw this one. And I thought that was neat. It is called Jack-O-Lantern Jumble by Kim Beamish. Of course, looks like it just calls for DMC and then some beads. DMC and then some pearl cotton. Wrapped backstitch, black and tangerine. I thought maybe that is a little too complicated for a first time biscornu. It does say it's intermediate. And not that I can show you the chart, but the chart looks fairly easy. There's more to it than when you first see it. I'm not sure if that is one I want to start. Then I went and grabbed all my back issues that I have of Just Cross Stitch and punch needle and primitive stitcher because I recall seeing biscornus in them. And I gotta say, there is something about flipping through physical magazines versus scrolling through them on a digital PDF. And I was seeing charts again that I remembered seeing or that I had forgotten. And I fell in love with so many charts in those magazines. And I think, how do I want to put this? Like, when you look on Flosstube and other YouTube channels, you see a lot of the individually purchased charts, not necessarily the charts that come out of the magazines, or at least that's my perspective of it. There's nothing wrong with the individually purchased charts, but I think so many of us are buying these magazines and we're not utilizing them as much as I think we should. Good grief. And then now that I'm a little more seasoned, I'm recognizing names like this one. This one has a chart from Liz Matthews in there. Lucy Beam on the back. Well, September, I just did a chart, one of her samplers from Just Cross Stitch. I'm trying to think what it's called. Rest in Peace, maybe? I don't remember. So yeah, so now I'm all in love with the with the magazines again, and I saw so many that I thought I'd love to start them. But we only have so many hours in the day. So I've got 1, 4, 8, 9, counting the one I just showed you, magazines where I found Biscornus. I have access to the digital archives of Punch Needle and Primitive Stitcher, but I didn't look through any of those, and you know, that's would have been like 7 or 8 more years worth of magazines to download and go through, and by this time I didn't really want to do it. Okay, so I showed you the jack-o'-lantern one, and then this one is in the February 2022 one, Cardinals Rule. I have a thing for cardinals. This one's by Nancy Woods of Blooming Grove Needle Art, and it looks like you'd need a button. No beads, just a button. In February 2023, just cross stitch. This one is a trio of Biscornus. Loves, Hugs, and Kisses. And this one's by Arlene Cohen of Works by ABC. Very cute. And I like the idea of stacking them too. And looking at the chart, at least for... Oh, okay. I'm looking at the charts, and the one didn't look familiar with what you see here, and I realize it's the bottom. Nothing fancy. Nothing fancy to get for these ones. I noticed they've been calling for, the ones that I've seen call for even weave or Belfast linen. And I remember somebody, I'm not sure who, it might have been one of the Sarahs I watch. The one with the puppy named Lily. I can't think of her YouTube channel right now. I thought maybe her said that it's easier to make Biscornus with 8 cloth because it's easier to fold. Don't quote me on that. I might have heard that from, I can picture her. I cannot think of her name. But she is also a quilter. I want to say Karen? Karen? Maybe I officially watch too many Flosstubes now. So there's that one. And then in Punch Needle and Primitive Stitcher, I noticed that I'm not going to try to say that. I'll just show it. There's like a series for Biscornus. This one's called Deb's Spring Biscornu. Very pretty, bright, you know, very appropriate for this time of year. And I like the colors. I'm not afraid to make cording and tassels. So I saw that one. That one caught my eye. There is another Halloween one in the 2021 Just Cross Stitch. I thought was cool. It's called Bones and Eyes by another one whose name I don't want to butcher. But I will put it up here. Evdokia? Now another one in the series. Deb's Winter Biscornu. Sometimes it's so hard to see if I'm showing it to you correctly. Oh, I don't think I mentioned on the spring one. I see it on this one too, and I think on everyone in the series, it calls for beads. And then we fall into that whole, it takes an hour and a special trip to drive up to the craft store to get supplies like this, because I don't have a supply of beads on hand, which means I'd probably have to order from 123 Stitch, and I don't want to spend shipping for just like one packet of, excuse me, seed beads. So I'd have to think of a list of seeds that I'd want to get, at the very least like a good variety of colors, so that I don't have to make a special order for anything. Because yeah, on Amazon, if you try to order something like that, anything small like that, they charge an arm and a leg for. And then there's Deb's Fall Biscornu. And then Deb's Summer Biscornu. And honestly, God, they're all so pretty. And then here we are at the 2025 spring issue for Punch Nail and Primitives. I know I flipped through it. Nothing's jumping out at me that I can remember. Although I did get a little excited when I saw this on the front cover, because I thought it was a Biscornu. But it's a Dragonfly Sewing Box by Manny Didana Design. I could see making that and giving it as a gift to a person in particular too, because she likes pretty things like that. Yeah, I didn't realize until I was looking through the magazines last night that how many of these charts that are in these magazines that they wouldn't take forever to do, and they're really cute. And I guess I just never appreciated this style of cross stitch before. I mean, like they're samplers, minuscule. This one's Stitching Bunny. And I know somebody has gone through the magazine already and shown all the charts, so I'm not gonna go through and show everything. But yeah, even something like this, No Garden is Without Weeds by Nebby Needle. That one really appeals to me. And then one of these days I'm gonna make punch needle. I have all the DMC needed for a chart. Is it called a chart in punch needle? But there's one in one of the earlier issues that's of chickens, surprise, surprise, that I want to make. I have everything ready for it, ready to go. It's just a matter of sitting down and tracing out the design onto the fabric. Yeah, and then spring sampler, sugar maple designs. I'd make that. I'd make the heck out of it. I really like the pink on there and the splash of the blue for the birds. And Save the Bees. by Nerdan Canber of Twin Peak Primitives. It's another one I would make if I didn't have 50 other things ready to go. Yeah, this one's pretty too. Peacock Butterfly Specimen. Tracy Ladd of Cottage River Studio. Yeah, I don't know if I've come across that on that company on social media. I have to investigate and do all the things that need doing in order to keep her on the radar. Oh, and then Jan Hicks. Hello, Spring. Yeah, lots of fun stuff. That was, I guess you could consider that haul, even though I didn't buy it. Although I did buy this little fella a few weeks ago. I was on Etsy looking at I don't know what, and then I saw this, and it's called Mini Rooster, and I thought that's so cute. Had to get it. Oh, I have a chicken one I got from Fat Quarter Shop. I don't remember what the name of the company that put it out is. And then the little bitty rooster. He's so wee. I'll link to the Etsy store for this one. One thing she did that I thought was really neat is that she glued a button onto the back of the magnet. And I like that. It makes it easier to grab the magnet. Those are strong little magnets. And then I did get something fun in the mail a few weeks back. My dear friend Patty Penn over at Stitching with My Kitties finished a project and then contacted me and asked if I wanted the chart because she was done with it. She wanted to pass it along. And I said, yes, I would love to get it because it is a beautiful chart. And I didn't think I was this kind of stitcher until I started seeing them. And there is something about them, and I really see the appeal to them now. Autumn Quakers by Rosewood Manor. And with the fabric that Patty Penn used, I mean, it's just, hers is stunning, and I can't wait to see what it looks like framed. And I've never stitched one of Rosewood Manor before. Karen Kluba, I think I've admired some of her designs previously, though. I can't think of anything off the top of my head because I've pretty much decided I have to stop adding things to my wish list because there's a whole mess of what's on there now. Well, I've got like 3 wish lists going. One at 123 Cross Stitch, one on Etsy, one on Amazon. Yeah, it's a problem. And then a huge surprise. Not only did she send me the chart, she sent me her leftover floss. And I just about fell over when I opened it up and I saw all those pretty flosses. And that red in particular, okay, yeah, it's not doing it justice, but it's so pretty. I am a sucker for reds. My friend Leanne, who owns Forbidden Fiber Co., I've known her since, well, forever. When I think about it, it's more than 15 years, but I've always just been in mad love with her reds because she does reds like no one else I know. This is close to what she can do, though not quite. But These are Valdonis, and I've never used those before. And they are just so pretty. And that purple too. Oh, I wish the camera would pick up the colors true. They just seem dark compared to what I'm seeing. No, that does. Yeah, it's making that look kind of muddy. Ugh. Well, if I post a picture, you'll be able to see. So I've been holding on to this for a couple of weeks, waiting to share and to do an official thank you so much, Patty. I'm trying to think. I don't want to forget this because the last episode I started talking about books. And then I started talking about what everyone else was reading, but not what I was reading. I have been listening to the Gone series by Michael Grant with my husband. Actually, did I say that we were listening? Because we're listening. It's the audiobooks. Because I don't have the brain space to read so much as I used to. But I will listen to audiobooks. This book series is like from the early 2000s, 2006 or 2009. And the best way to succinctly describe it is that it's set in a Southern California beach town where the kids get trapped in a dome that overtakes the whole town. And anyone over the age of 15 just vanishes. So they're trying to figure things out and live in this dome. And it's a really interesting concept to me. It does kind of remind me of maybe something Stephen King would put out, which the author probably gets tired of hearing that comparison. But when my husband was first describing it to me, I said, that kind of sounds like a TV series that was on probably 10 years ago, 10, 15 years ago. And I know that one was based on a Stephen King book, but this is all kids. And I think I'm on maybe book 4, and there's either 8 or 9 books. I said to my husband that I have to keep reminding myself that this book was geared towards young adults because some of the stuff that's going on and some of the stuff they say catches me by surprise. At the very least, it would be said or done by older teenagers, not kids who are 13 to 15 years old or sometimes younger. But it is compelling. It's got my attention, and anytime I look up anything about it, people just love it. I think I found a like a teaser for a TV show that was put out on YouTube 2 years ago. So there's a TV show in the works, I guess. And a lot of the comments were, hey, I read this when I was a teenager and I loved it so much. I'm so excited they're making a TV show out of it. It's good. I like it. I recommend it. Gone series, Michael Grant. And then TV shows I've been watching. I did go on about that a little bit in the last video, but this time around I finished the first 3 seasons of Veronica Mars. I tried to quickly get through it because it's supposed to be off of Hulu, I think at the end of the month. I started to watch season 4, and it is such a different mood and atmosphere than the first 3 seasons that I looked up to see what happened in season 3 and decided that's all I'm going to do. I'm not going to watch season 4. I started watching Grey's Anatomy. I haven't watched a lot of it. I think I'm in season 2. I'm as far as, well, I found out what Izzy's secret is. Caught me by surprise. I wasn't expecting that. I watched the episode with the bomb squad being there, and I did not expect what they did with that one. I was just, no, I couldn't believe they did that. I remember when Grey's Anatomy first started and hearing my friends talk about it, and they talk about McDreamy. And then after a while, I heard about McSteamy, and I thought, did they forget that they were calling him McDreamy? And I didn't realize that was 2 separate people. But it's got my attention. I've been watching a couple episodes, more than a couple episodes a week. It's probably been 5 episodes, but I watch back one or 2 nights a week. And then last night I finished up Dark Winds. That's on AMC. I love that series. I should start listening to the audiobooks if they have them, but I love that series. And I'm disappointed that they don't make more episodes per season and you have to wait so long in between. But the wait is definitely worth it. I saw that The Last of Us season 2 must be out now. My husband and I watched the first season. It's been so long since the first season was out that I don't know if we have the same enthusiasm to watch season 2. And it's the same with was it called Wednesday? The Addams Family revamp. They held off on making season 2 so long that I feel like they should have struck while the iron was hot. But that's my 2 cents on it. I don't know if that one's actually out yet or if they've just been talking about it a lot. Sorry, I thought I saw something kind of up. I thought it was weird. I have received some shoutouts. And you know what I say, sharing is caring. So thank you very much. Denise over at Black Ribbon Studio. Mair at Sin City Cross Stitcher. Some of my favorite people, Linda and Susie over at Yarn Over with Us. Even if you are not a knitter or crocheter, because they do a little bit of both, you should watch them because their videos are so delightful. And they don't talk exclusively about yarn crafting. There's a few other things interspersed. Like the most recent one, they were talking about how yarn makes us cry, but not necessarily like in a bad way. Susie shared a story about a shawl that she made for her mother, and then she was telling her granddaughter the history behind the piece, and it's very touching and very sweet. And it's something that I would like to have happen for my knitting and any of my crafting. I stitch for fun. I knit for fun, crochet for fun, a few other things that I do for fun, but in the long run, I would like those pieces to be kept and preserved into the family. I don't know if that'll happen or not though. But at least my son knows that I've put a lot of time and energy into these things, and I already asked him once, like, you're going to keep all my stuff, right? And he's like, well, yeah, of course. I'm like, you're such a liar. But, because when the time comes, it'll really be about what whatever his spouse wants, because, ladies rule the household. Where was I going? Oh, yeah, so watch Yarn Over with Us. of course, Patty Penn, she's just so sweet. She's a real dear. Stitching with my kitties. And Niecielynn, she hasn't specifically shouted me out, but I've heard her mention my name, and apparently I've been, my emotional support chicken has been discussed. Furby's boy toy, and she says she hasn't checked my video out yet, but I heard her mention me, and then we've had conversations a little bit in her chat. Oh, and then quickly to go back to Linda and Susie at Yarn Over with us, Linda said that I hope we're saying Marcy's channel name correctly, and if not, if she would correct us, something along those lines. I know the name of my channel is kind of weird, and it has nothing to do with any kind of crafting at all. It is named after my blog, which I called amniconstudio.blogspot.com, which I do write over there. I haven't in the last month because lack of motivation. Amnicon is also the name of Amnicon State Park and Amnicon River. And my husband and I once owned I forget how many acres it was, if it was 10 or 20 acres of land that had the Amnicon River flowing through it. So that's where the name comes from. It's kind of this was back before, thinking of brands was really a thing. I just wanted something that was kind of encompassed all my hobbies and everything that I like to do. I didn't want to be pinned down to just one thing, and that's kind of me in life. I'm known by many different things. I'm the crazy chicken lady. I'm the one that had the chicken living in the house. I'm a gardener. I hunt. I dabbled in running for a while. The crafts that have stuck, knitting has been my number one thing. Although I originally started trying to teach myself how to crochet, that didn't stick until YouTube really became a thing and I was able to look up how-tos on there. I've got a spinning wheel. I've got a rigid heddle loom, which I haven't touched in a few years because right now knitting and cross stitch are my thing. Same with the spinning. If I had to pin myself as one thing, I always identify as like, I'm a spinner, even though I don't spin nearly as much as I knit or do any of the other things. So I just kind of wanted to be, something that would house everything together. And that is the story behind the name that is my blog and my YouTube channel, Amnicon Studio. So now, everything that you didn't want to know. Let's see. I had a list of people that I've been watching over the last couple of weeks, and I don't know what happened to it. Oh, here we go. Something happened and it accidentally deleted. In the last month, this is just a few of the channels that I've watched. I haven't commented nearly as much as I'd like to, or that I have in the past, because it just, I've been watching with when I was watching, I had low energy. I enjoyed the videos. I'm just sorry that I didn't interact and leave comments like I usually do now. Artie over at the Vintage Stitcher, she's been putting out daily videos, and honestly I wasn't sure how I'd feel about that, but she's kind of, the topics are a little bit of this, a little bit of that with the cross stitch in, and I enjoy them a lot. I don't know if all the feedback she's been getting has been positive, but Artie, I like what you're doing. Keep at it. Olena, the Norwegian knitter, knitting content from Norway. I've been watching her for a while. I don't know how to say Barb's last name, so I'm just going to say Barb O. And her channel is called So She Sews and Quilts. I've enjoyed her videos a lot. There was one thing in the first video of hers that I watched that kind of stuck with me. And it was something to the effect of, you know how you take care of people when they're ill and they need being taken care of. Excuse me. A little tickle in my throat. So, you know, you pour yourself out in a certain way and you expect that when you need that kind of care and support and you don't get that in return. And that stuck with me. And actually, I thought about that one off and on for a good long while, and I thought what she said was the absolute truth. It is frustrating, but once you accept that difference, I mean, it is what it is, but you need to be able to accept that what you put out, you won't necessarily get back. Allison at Mrs. AZ Family Zoo Stitches, she's been putting out a lot of tutorials lately, which I think are very good. Tutorials for a lot of quilting type things, like making totes. I can't think of anything else right now, but I think she's doing very good, clear tutorials. Bernie Burn Stitches, I've been watching her for a while, and I always enjoy seeing what she's working on and the new finds that she has. Shelly Antique Needleworkers, I know she hasn't put out as many videos as she used to now that she's designing, and it looks like she's starting to teach at different retreats. I think she is a sweetheart and a very kind, beautiful person. Annie, the Proper Stitcher, same thing. She's designing now, so she doesn't put out as many videos as she used to, but I think her videos are very good. And I like how she presents her projects and what she's working on. Of course, Kenzie, Mudpuppy Stitchery, that I'm doing the stitch along with, with Bedelia Bunny. She's got a few new charts out. I love her charts. I think I waxed on and on about her with the last one. One of the more recent ones she put out was about was a turtle, snapping turtle, and I bought that one. I've got all the floss for that. Oh, which reminds me that I got all the floss for the Never Admire Quietly chart that I got from Sarah at Sarah's Stitchy Spot. So I would like to start that sometime soon as well. See, even with notes. And then Sean at Periwinkle Stitcher, I've mentioned her before way back when, and I just marvel at the work she does. Her embroidery is so gorgeous, especially, I don't know what it's called, but the pieces she's been stitching with the white thread floss, they're just so beautiful. I wish that was more of a thing that I could do, want to do. I'm at a point now in my life where I know what I know, and it's not easy for me to pick up and learn new techniques, if that makes any sense. It's the whole muscle memory thing, and I struggle with some of that now. I mean, I've done embroidery a little bit in the past, but it is nothing compared to what I see her share. So those are some of the channels that I've watched in the last month. I have been behind because now I follow so many Flosstubes and knitting ones that I just can't keep up. Oh, I also, I didn't put it down here, but I don't want to forget Sarah the Northwood Stitcher either, because she has been, I feel, one of my biggest fans from the beginning of this, once I started reaching out and putting myself out there and leaving comments and everything. I enjoy her videos too, because she finds the neatest things. And I enjoy seeing all the vintage charts that she manages to find either on eBay or thrift stores or the dump. So that is it. I'm at a minute 10. I don't think there's really anything for me to delete from this one, and I'm shocked that I didn't have to stop at least once. Yeah, so thank you for watching my video. If you stayed this long, I want to say, which Biscornu do you think I should start? If you have an opinion at all on it. I think I know which one I'm going to do, but I want to hear what other people have to say. And let's see, is there anything else? I don't think so. So, ways to support my channel, because I haven't thought of like a classy, clever way to do an outro on this, but I also feel I need to say the YouTube things that everybody else says, because it feels like that's what you should do. The easiest ways you can support my channel is subscribe, comment, give the video a thumbs up, but most importantly, share with a friend. As someone else said, the algorithms. You need to feed the algorithms. Let them know what people like. Feed the beast, so to speak. And that's what I do when I share my links and I tag the other channels. And that way we can all help grow each other's channels. So like and subscribe. And don't forget to share. Until next time, goodbye everybody.